Welcome to the Primal Foundations podcast. I'm your host, Tony Pascola. Today we have a guest on our show, Nikki Georgeson. Nikki is a nutritionist, strength coach working in Chicago, Illinois. She holds a wide variety of credentials, such as a precision nutrition certified coach, pregnancy and postpartum corrective exercise specialist, certified functional strength coach, Strong First kettlebell instructor, and NCSF certified personal trainer. Nikki is very active on social media, posting technique videos, highlighting clients, food pics, and coffee shop adventures around the city. Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I love your Instagram. I honestly don't know how you even have that much time to post, and it's like food pics and clients and workouts and all that stuff. So I don't know, where do you even find the time?
It's funny because I feel like I don't I don't have the time, and I would say on social media I have a big imposter syndrome actually when it comes to that. You know, I'm glad that it's deceiving to others because I really do have that. You're always looking at what other people are doing and they're posting more than you, or, posting things that maybe you feel like you should be posting. And so it's always really nice to hear that what I'm, posting is being seen, being heard, and, hopefully helpful to others.
Yeah. I think everybody in the space, doesn't matter who you are, you feel like, I'm going to hit this button and I don't know if people are going to like it or not, or care, or, okay, I'm going to just not even look at it.
Right.
But no, it's good. It's very organic, and it's nice. And I think you're consistent with it. So I'm trying to be on your level, and, I'm like, man, I haven't posted in a while. Like I gotta get my act together. But so I want to start with kind of your background and how you got into fitness, nutrition. Is this something you kind of always wanted to do? Like whether you're like an athlete when you're young, or is this something that, was like a career shift for you?
Yeah, so it's twofold really. And I've thought a lot about it when people ask me that question, because I think most of this for me started in childhood. I got super lucky with two parents who are just tremendous cooks. My dad's a chef and my mom is just a wonderful home cook. And a lot of the time, between culture and having two single working parents at the time, I think food has just always represented a variety of meanings to me. I think that's what I like about food, is that it can hold more than one role. And I think there were just so many floating in each household that I just kind of fell in love with it. I've grown up in kitchens since I was maybe 13 years old. So I think just the exposure to food, and both my parents use food as medicine. Both my parents are so well balanced and really have shown us, it's all in moderation. They've put that into action, and, I just kind of followed and fell in love with food itself. In terms of training, I always think that's a funny story because it kind of fell into my lap. It was almost an accident. So I actually majored in international business. Okay. And had a minor in sociology, background in photography, criminal justice, and Islamic studies. Wow. And Spanish. Yeah. So that was my experience in college, and I really just wanted to travel. And so when I got out of school, I got my corporate job, because that's just what you do. You have no experience. You're going out into the world. You need to find a job. And the first job I had was in the corporate field. And I think my realization in that experience was that the job that I had was really highlighting my weaknesses and not showcasing my strengths. And so I was constantly feeling like I'm doing something and not only not enjoying it, but I didn't feel good at it. So it just wasn't a good feeling to me. And I feel like I was just every day just doing what I was supposed to do and doing what I was expected to do. And it was not fun. It was not fun. It was extremely stressful. And I was super young. So when I left that job, I just had nothing to lose at that point. And I just kind of uttered the words to a friend of mine, maybe I'll just go into training. And I was boxing at the time. I played sports growing up, but I wouldn't qualify myself as an athlete per se. So I was a dancer, I played volleyball, and I always enjoyed sports and enjoyed movement. But I actually fell in love with training because what I really wanted to do was work with people. And that's one of the things that I just felt like I was not getting at a corporate job. I was staring at a screen. I had my headphones on 95% of the time, and I wasn't actually interacting with anybody. So yes, I loved movement, but I actually got into training because I got to work with people. There was dialogue to be had. I feel like there was space and room for creativity, which I also really loved. And it was more so the human aspect that I was drawn to. And then movement was just really a bonus. So that was more of a catalyst, if you will, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In terms, what is, so when you're talking about your parents and the food, and what's your parents' background, if you don't mind sharing, what are their backgrounds?
Not at all. My dad is 100% Greek. And so growing up, it was a lot about culture and tradition, and everything is focused around food. And he is in fact a chef and owns his own business. And so then my mom, her family is actually from Canada. And they were both single parents when I was younger. And she developed a Thursday night family night where she brought in all of her single girlfriends and their kids. And again, it was just centered around food. And so every Thursday night, all the kids got together, all the adults got together, and we just shared like this huge meal every single Thursday. And then my mother is a therapist, so she owns her own business. So I also have two parents who run their own businesses, and I've also gotten to witness that. They've been running their own businesses since I was a baby, so 25, 30 years.
You get that entrepreneur, like just rubbing elbows with the right people, and it kind of gets on you.
Yeah, it really does. And I didn't realize that really until I was an adult.
Yeah. And when you said like, oh, my parents were about moderation, like my family's Italian, and it's like that. I was like, that's the complete opposite. It's like, wait, like your plate's empty, like here's more. It's just more food.
Whether you're hungry or not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So my goal in terms of like when I just podcasting or doing anything to get information out to people of like finding people or experts who approach strength, nutrition, movement, and recovery like as this positive lifestyle versus like diet culture, unrealistic body image, like following people on Instagram or trying to replicate what they do because they look good. So what's your take on, being healthy? Like, what does that look like? And how do you change your clients' views as you move forward with working with people?
Such a loaded question.
It's a very loaded question.
Such a loaded question. I think that is actually the question that we have to start asking people when they start this process is, what does health mean to you? And whether they have I tell them it's a question that you don't have to answer in the moment. I just want you to think about it, right? Because everyone can have a different answer to that question. I have my own answer to that question, and it's most likely going to be different from yours. And I think that's kind of the issue that I see most, is that there's this huge gap between people coming in for results and health, and not really understanding how they connect and why health should take precedence and hopefully lead you into the results that you're wanting. And I think that we're really just asking the wrong question. So someone, I can't take credit for this, but they say if you have a really good coach, they're not just going to give you the answer, they're going to ask you a question. And I love that phrase. And I try and remember it as much as I can when I do my job in terms of nutrition or training, because I don't want to just give people the answers. I want to challenge them, because more often than not, they already know the answer to most things. It's just a reason of why. And so I think a lot of it for me has to do with asking the right questions. And so I think that would be the first question, is what does health mean to you? Because I think we just get all too fixated on the result part, right? The end of it. And the reality is that you and I know there's no end to any of this. Yep. We will be doing this until the day we die.
Mhm.
And so already before they start that process, they're in the wrong mindset. So it's like, how can we even begin this process if we don't start having these kinds of conversations and really trying to shift this mindset? And with that said, going further into your question, changing someone's behavior and mindset is extremely difficult.
Mhm.
I always tell people, if you want to go into nutrition, make sure you have a psychology degree, which I don't. But my point is that just make sure you're prepared, because I wasn't prepared. I really wanted to dive into nutrition. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I love food and I love working with people, but it has been by far the greatest learning experience I think I've ever had, because it's actually what you're talking about majority of the time is not food. We don't talk
Yeah.
about food. We might get to that point down the line, but majority of the time that's normally not the topic of discussion.
Yeah. So anybody that follows my Instagram, all probably 5 people that actually watch what I do, they like, for me, like, I do carnivore. I like it. It's the biggest piece of that is that relationship with food. Like, I don't view food the same way. I haven't, like, basically my whole entire life I've yo-yo dieted. And I mean, I had my closet set up. Here's my heavy fat pants and my skinny pants. I'm like, can I just have pants? Like, I just want to have pants. And yo-yo dieting, and this is my path that I found. But coaching clients through a process of, like, approaching food, because people get passionate about food, and you, like you're saying, it's like, it's difficult to change those mindsets. How do you coach clients in terms of, like, I know everybody has their different answers or different backgrounds with it, but how do you get them to view food differently and have a positive relationship with food?
So there's a wonderful worksheet called Are You Able, Ready, and Willing that we typically start off with. And again, it turns the conversation not to food, but inward. Are you ready and willing and open to this process? Because for most people, it's something very, very new. It's something that they haven't tried before. And it really takes a lot of patience. And there are some people who aren't ready for this process, and that's okay. Right? That's all right. They might be in a phase of life where they are just not ready or prepared to put in the time and effort towards this project, and that's perfectly fine. And so that also identifies, is this person going to be able to take on the to-dos that I'm going to ask of them? That's another part of the process, is that it's a two-way street. And so when I ask them, hey, is this something that you feel that you can do this next week? I want them to answer honestly, yes or no, right? Because I'm not the one doing the work. And they'll say, yes, absolutely. I can do that. Let's do it. Or no, like, this week I have this going on. I have this going on. I just don't think that that's a reasonable ask for this week. Is there something else that we can do? And so again, it comes back to the mindset and the shift of, let's take it day by day, week by week, and let's be realistic about it. And so I actually want to comment on on the pants, actually. I really do, because it's about the reasoning behind it. So I also have pants from like a size 25 to a size 28 and like everything in between. And they always stay in my closet. Now, I don't have that because I've been yo-yo dieting, but because I've been in different phases of life. And I want people to understand that that's normal. That's normal. But is it by accident or is it on purpose? That's the main difference, right? I think most people are so subject and victim to their food and the way that they eat. And so they just always find it so difficult, right? Because most things are done really aimlessly. So the second you shift that narrative to it being intentional, I think you're giving people a lot of control and a lot of power. So the second they start to understand that they are now in the driver's seat and they're in control of what they put in their mouth and why, is I feel the second that their relationship changes with themselves and with food. And then they start to feel that feedback. So to answer your question, I think it's when you actually give people a sense of control. And the second that people don't have a sense of control is when they feel completely out of whack, and that sometimes they'll get to that, oh, I already screwed up, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, that's that whole piece of also, hey, I did this, therefore, I cheated a little bit, so I might as well just keep going. Or,
Right.
or it's like the reverse, like I've been doing great, so I might as well treat myself and do whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes, people will say, my clients will be like, oh, I had ice cream, like a lot of ice cream last night or last week. And I'm like, cool. Did you enjoy it? They're like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was amazing. We were walking around and shopping. It was just so hot out. So we stopped for ice cream. I'm like, okay, great. Right. There's
Like
no
it.
shame. There's no guilt. I always tell people, like, you're an adult and you can make your own decisions. And if that's something that you really wanted and you thoroughly enjoyed it, cool.
Yeah, do they think do they say like as if they were in trouble with you? Like, hey,
But essentially that tells me that they've had some, previous shame and guilt when it comes to
yeah,
food, which is super, super common. And again, it just comes back to, like, you are the one making your own decisions and you're an adult. That's the cool thing about being an adult, is that you can do what you want and when you want. It's just a matter of why you're doing it versus, oh, my significant other brought home like a huge tub of ice cream last night. We sat on the couch and we ate like the whole thing, right? It's a completely different scenario,
yeah.
in which case it just like happened.
Yeah, and life's about enjoyment, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
you. Yes, you want to be healthy and all those things, but I was talking with Dr. Kiltz, who he's awesome, and we just went back and forth about like he's Italian, I'm Italian. I'm like, dude, if we're in Italy and we're going and some grandma's making homemade pasta, what are you gonna? And we're both like really big into carnivore. I'm like, I'm eating the pasta, like I'm having that experience. I'm enjoying the culture.
Mm-hmm.
If I have Jenny's ice cream, are you a Jenny's fan by chance?
I'm an ice cream fan.
Just in general, ice cream.
Just ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll have. I went out with some friends, and I'm like, they're like, "Oh, we want to go to Jenny's." Like, Tony, is that cool? I'm like, you know what? I'll have Jenny's too. They're like, you can have that. I go, I can have what I want. I just choose not to have it every day, So,
Right.
but it's that, yeah, self control, empowering, and I think a lot of clients think like, well, clients think you're gonna write everything out for them, eat this, nothing else. Whereas like you're saying, this is like you're not just a coach. It's just not a coach student. Um, it's a partnership is the big thing.
Yeah.
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 And so
Go ahead.
okay. Oh no, you keep going. Oh, that was
Oh,
it. Switching gears, of changing my side. We're talking about a lot of food. I really want to get your take on in strength training and empowering women to be strong. I think a big piece of being healthy is being strong and be able to do things in life because you are strong. Um, what's your views on strength training, in particular with female clients? Is this another loaded question again?
I mean, they're all, I
They're
mean, I
all
don't even
loaded.
know. Yeah. I mean, they're great questions because it's something that I feel like I see every single day. And I think at the end of the day, I think you and I both know that training isn't just training, strength isn't just strength. And I think both, again, are just catalysts for bigger life skills that are extremely important. So I think people want to feel competent and they want to feel confident. And I think that's what strength training breeds. And I think that when people start to feel competent and confident in the gym, everything changes. Absolutely everything changes in and out of the gym. And I can say that over and over and over again. And until you have that experience, I just don't think people will really know. And I think you and I have this data, because I don't know about you, I've been training some people for years. And so you have all this data and what they've been through from the very beginning to 4 years later. And it's just really indescribable to watch them hit, yes, their strength PRs in training, which is always super awesome and super cool because it's just a reflection of the amount of work and effort and investment that they've really put in, but how they grow as a person. as well, or even women finally feeling like they can walk into a gym and work out on their own. That is something that really blows my mind on a regular basis, because to me, that doesn't have as much to do with the logistical aspect in the gym, right? That's something that they learn with us. They can probably maneuver themselves through a gym pretty easily at this point. They have good form. They've been doing this for a while. It's just the mental block of, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. Are people watching me? Are they judging me? And just being able to use strength to get through those certain barriers, I think is just not just awesome, but like really necessary for women. Cause I feel like men don't have that problem as much, or if they do, I just don't hear about it.
I think they don't talk about it enough.
Right.
That's what's the big thing is. And I'll see, I work with high school kids. I work with, college kids. I work with, male adults. And the biggest thing, like, they're like, so, what's your regimen? Like, what do you do? And I tell them what I kind of do week by week. And I say, I train 3 to 5 hours a week. So like, that's it. Like, you're not like every day, 2 hours. I go, no, it doesn't have to be that. Like, what are you doing in the gym for 2 hours at a time? I'm like, I got a life, man. I got things I need to do.
I got stuff to do.
Yeah, I got stuff to do, man. And I think there's that shift of the mindset in terms of, because what we see or what we think is expected of us, you have to have the 6-pack, you have to like bench 225. If you don't bench 225, you can't be a gym bro, yeah, it's this whole different thing. And I think with women in particular, what I see is it's very fashionable or very, it's just kind of the standard is like, I'm going to go to a cardio hit class because that's what women do. And I see more women, I think it's getting more popular. We are shifting the mindset of our strength training.
Yeah.
And that whole thing of like, well, I don't want to get bulky is like, that's kind of out the door at this point. Like first of all, if you want to, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder. Like, you know how hard you have to work to look like, good luck. Good luck looking like a bodybuilder.
It's exhausting.
Oh yeah.
So much work.
Yes. It's a lot of food. That's a lot of training hours. I mean, that's something in itself, but yes, getting away, not to say that a cardio hit class is bad but I think if that's what you're doubling down on all the time, we see people that go to these chronic cardio classes over and over again, they're into it, then they drop off because it's like not really a sustainable thing. You can't be just like going after it every single time because you want to compete for the number on the, because so like what is it, Soul Cycle or Spin? I took a whatever,
Soul Cycle, I think.
flywheel, whatever it was. And I'm like cranking and I see the numbers and I'm like, there's like 3 guys there and like, we're doing our thing. And like they are crushing us. Like, and I'm like, I'm exhausted. I am redlining. How are you even? And they're looking at each other. They know the numbers. They're like, I'm beating Jenny today. And I'm like, Jesus, I can't sustain this. Like, this is tough. This is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see that. It's just unsustainable. But I think with strength training, to your point, it's like, it's not just strength training. I'm working out to build that confidence and that skill that I have. And I've worked at it, the process to get to where you are. It's just like, that stays with you a lot.
Yeah. And no one can take that away from you. I think that's the wonderful part about it is that you're the one that's shown up every day. You're the one that's had to do the work. And I think, discipline is, I hate saying this, but it's so true, but discipline is a form of self-care. And I think that needs to be said more because everyone's like, how do you have so much discipline? I'm like, because that matters to me, right? I show up for myself and I take that very, very seriously. To me, that is what self-discipline is showing up for yourself because no one's going to clap for you. No one's going to make sure that you showed up at the gym today. No one's going to pat you on the back. Like, you're not doing it for anybody else. No one else cares. They're not, right? They're going to say, good job. Sometimes my friends come and work out with me. I have a big support system. It's great, but I'm not showing up for anybody else. And so I think that's a huge component of training that is very challenging for people because I think they are in the mindset of, this is what I should be doing. or everyone else is doing this, or I want to look like this. And that's only going to stick for so long. And that's to me, just the truth.
I like that saying, show up for yourself. That's great. Strength training, we're going to segue to kettlebells, you know. So you're a strong first. Let's make this easy transition. Everybody's like, oh, he's talking about he's like, let's talk about kettlebells again. Oh yeah, we're talking about kettlebells. So you're a strong first instructor. How did you get into kettlebells? And I wanted you to talk about like the SFG one and how your experience
was. My God.
Because it's its own thing. It's its own thing.
So wild story. First, I have to acknowledge Sam Gonzalez.
Oh, I know Sam.
You know
Sam? Oh, this is so funny. Sam was at so this is how I actually got associated with kettlebells. Is he used to work at Monkey Bars in Chicago. This is back in the day in the South Loop. It was have you ever heard of this gym?
No.
So it was the floors were like all like hard rubber mats, but like enough where you can do like jujitsu on, so they're a little soft. And it was a barefoot gym. Nobody wore shoes. They had like these ropes. They had swinging like rings, kettlebells, clubs, no mirrors, no machines. And Sam was a trainer there. And that's how I met Sam. It unfortunately closed, but that's so funny that, you know, Sam. But go ahead. Sam Gonzalez.
He's the one. Oh my God. Sam's the best. And I can never say enough good things about him, because when I first started and I didn't know what I was doing, I was completely new to training. I knew nothing. And at the time, my mind was like a sponge, because if you know, when you're starting any sales career, training especially, I mean, the first year is so hard. It is so hard trying to build your business, and you really just have to hustle. And he was so wonderful, because obviously he was doing what he was doing, which was at the time kettlebell work, slowly getting into mace work. But he really is a teacher. Like he just loves to educate others in the things that he loves to do, and really took me under his wing at the time and pretty much taught me everything that I know. And to me, he's just one of the best instructors that there's ever been. His cueing is great. His relational skills are amazing. And, you know, I just exposed to him at all times. So it was a great way to start off my career. And I don't think I would have done as well as I have without him, truly. And the funny story about when I got my Strong First certification, oh my God. It was during 2020, it was during the pandemic. And I think it was in the month of August. It was at the Rosemont Dome. And when the pandemic hit, they, you know, Strong First said, we're still holding the certification. And if you don't want to participate, I think at the time they were not reimbursing or refunding people. And so I'm like, listen, I have trained hard for this the last couple of months. Like hell, I'm not going. And you still have to be masked. So I did the 3 days. Did the 3 days of a mask. And actually, I really enjoyed my time there, because since so many people didn't show up, there was a smaller group. So we got actually, you know, the benefit to that was that we got more one-on-one time with our instructors, which was great. However, they rescheduled it, and they rescheduled it on the weekend that I was moving out of my apartment. Oh. And Sam will remember this. He was laughing so hard. So I'm like, again, I've worked too hard for this. There's no way I'm not doing it. Like, head down, big deep breath, let's do this. And so I trained and was at the certification all day Friday. I moved out of my apartment Friday night, took all my stuff to my mom's, slept there, woke up. I had to bring the truck with me to the dome, because I moved.
Like my moving truck. U-Haul truck?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because I didn't have time after that day to go all the way back, pick up the truck, and move into my apartment. Okay. So I roll up in the parking lot, and Sam's like, did you bring your truck to the dome? I'm like, I mean, yeah. He's like, it's awesome.
Oh God. I bet,
he was laughing so hard.
The hourly on that would have been, it's pretty.
Oh my God. But I just like didn't have time after that day. So Saturday all day. And got into the truck. I moved into my new apartment Saturday night. I soaked my body Saturday night because I was losing it. My body was getting really tired, really sore. My calluses were really giving me a run for my money. And then, I got home and my mom's like, so, how was moving out of your apartment? I'm like, no emotions. Can't ask me those questions. I gotta get it. I gotta pull it together. Like none of that. I don't have time for this. Went to bed. I did my snatch test on Sunday. And the second, I passed, I finished, I got in the car and I just started bawling, crying.
Oh,
Because I was so happy. I was so happy that the weekend was done. I was so proud of myself for finishing and like pulling it together. It was just like this huge release of like, this is amazing. It's been a wild ride. Someone get me like 3 bagels and a drink and get me home. I was so happy to be done, but it was a really cool experience. It was just extremely challenging.
wow. I mean, that shows a bunch of, that's really like mental fortitude. Like, this is what has to get done. Let's do it. Like, that's kudos to you for that. That's a long weekend.
I'm pretty sure I was running late coming home. My mom's like, where are you? I'm like, I gotta get some bagels. I need carbs immediately. Yeah, but it was Sam was there. So I felt like, I had some support. And again, I think it goes back to your question about strength of finishing something like that, meeting new people, making new friends, feeling like we, have each other's backs throughout this weekend. And I just accomplished something extremely difficult. And for me, especially if anyone knows me at this point, to say that I'm proud of myself is a really big deal. And walking out of there and being like, wow, I just accomplished something really difficult. And I'm super proud of myself for it.
That's awesome. Awesome. In terms of upcoming events for you, so I want to talk about the UIC Charge and your workshops. So what's coming up for Nikki?
So UIC Charge, they found me through social media last year. It is a wonderful program, absolutely wonderful program for young women to empower young women through movement. And so they actually schedule, I think it's once a week. They try and schedule a once a week workout, dance class, some sort of continuing education through movement. I think every Wednesday, and I've been honored to be invited back twice, and it's just amazing. Like, these group of girls are just so awesome, eager to learn, and they're just wonderful. I absolutely love the program, and it's just a piece of volunteer that I hope to continue to do with them and build with them, and they seem to really enjoy it. So we just run a really fun workout. So I'll always post, when I'm headed there, because now it's getting to the point where, I hope to start building relationships with these young women, because they're super awesome. And yeah, I'm trying to host, I host workshops, as you already know, at Lululemon Lincoln Park. I try and host once a month, and it's usually kettlebell based. The space at Lululemon Lincoln Park is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. It's a great experience. They have also a really nice set of kettlebells, which definitely keeps me coming back more and more. But other events that are coming up that I'm really looking forward to, not so much an event, but I just hired a paid intern, and she's coming on to my team, which I'm so excited about, because again, it just gives me more wiggle room to show up a little bit better for the clients that I have. And with that, a nutrition ebook that will be coming out that I know it's been a labor of love, to say the least. So I hope to launch that by November 1. And then I'm going to be offering group nutrition coaching January 1, 2024.
Wow. Well, again, where do you find the time?
I don't know. I think I just commit to things that I love to do, and I figure it out and find it. Just find the time. But I also, to that point, I don't think I would be able to do any of this unless I reached out and asked for help. So I think I have a great, again, support system. The fitness community is absolutely amazing. And then bringing this new intern on will will be awesome. Just gives me more, freedom to get into other things.
And then going back to the workshops, I took one of your workshops, and they're kind of few and far, but kettlebell workshops are few and far between
Yeah.
around, even in like Chicago, right? You would think there's more, but
Yeah.
one, you're right, the space is awesome. And then when we open up the cabinet, I'm like, what kind of bells are going to be at
So
Lululemon?
pretty.
They were nice. They were nice. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
But for kettlebell instruction in these workshops, if somebody's thinking about going, why should they go to a workshop versus go to a group fitness class?
Great question. We both know that kettlebells are extremely skill based. And I think to really utilize them and efficiently, it needs to be taught. Again, there's really no way around it. You can attempt to figure it out on your own. To me, that is a bold move, because I think safety is a huge topic of conversation when it comes to kettlebells as well. So I think people should get more and more into workshops, because it's really all in the details, right? And the details are what coaches are going to do really well at teaching people, so that you can work with them safely and efficiently. So I always encourage, hey, dip your toe in the water, come and hang out. Like, this is meant to be fun. This is meant to be a safe space where you can ask questions, where you can make mistakes, and just feel like you can really have the space to learn. And then, you're off and practicing on your own.
Yeah, having like you said, space to learn, but also the mindset of like, everybody in the class is there to learn. So I don't have like this feeling like I'm going to get blown out by all these people because they're so good. Like, no, everybody's there to learn. It's just like such a different environment. We take our time through things. And I love like partnering people up and saying that, like, this is what to look for your partner. So then you get like them coaching each other too, and getting feedback and taking feedback. And it's just like, that's such a great environment. And I think more workshops are like we should have more in the city of Chicago, I think. So
I agree.
I liked your workshop. It was, I mean, I go to as many different things as I can go to as possible, like as a trainer.
Yeah.
The more I get into training, the less I think that I know. Like, yeah, it's just like, I'm like, for example, I did the Strong First barbell with Fabio, and we walked in there, and the first day of the Strong First barbell is like, you weigh in, because your lifts are based, or the weights are based on your body weight. And it's like, okay, warm up. Like, we're like, what? I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know we do all of our lifts the first day. I thought, are we going to go over technique? Like, nope. Like, grab your stuff. Like, deadlift twice your body weight. Like, bench, like whatever it was, 1.25 or whatever your body weight. And all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh. Like, so we're like, we have to right away just do all the lifts. And if you don't make the lifts, you just can try later, or like at the end of the week or end of the certification. But Fabio, we sat there, and we spent 2 hours on a Zercher squat, 2 hours. And I looked at one of my partners. I go, I thought I knew stuff about a barbell. I'm like, I know nothing. I have no idea what I've been doing all these times. And literally breaking things down, and where you think, like, we're always learning. And again, the more you can have this partnership with other coaches like you and Sam, like he's teaching you all these things and finding different coaching tech, or even cues, like finding different cues, because the cues that you use all the time might work, but then a person's still not getting it. And you pick up a cue from somebody else and you use that, and they're like, I'm like, oh my God, I should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, 100%. And I was just about to say, that's why I love going to other people's workshops, and I can't wait to hop into one of yours in the future, for the same reason you just mentioned, because I love cueing. I love tactile feedback. I love verbal feedback. And to your point, like, I have been doing kettlebells for years, but I love hearing and seeing other methods and approaches to a tool that I've been working with for so long. But I think that's what I love to be exposed to, because it's just to more to add to your tool belt is all that it is. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean what you're doing isn't already great, but there's always more that you can add.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's just, being open to a bunch of things is because you get clients that are like, oh, they know it all. And you'd be like, no,
I don't.
we don't know it all. We don't know it all.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. We don't know it all. And we're always learning. And like, you just have a plethora of certifications and I kind of want to touch base too is upon the postpartum and pregnancy corrective exercise. Like that's one thing, like I know nothing. Like I'm not very familiar with it. I used to work at a gym, and we had one of our instructors who was a strong first instructor. Anytime somebody came in looking for one-on-one and programming, like that's, either pregnant in the moment or just got off, or not got off of being pregnant, but just had a baby.
Yeah.
We would send it in, he would program, and like they would love it. Is there any insights what the difference is if you're planning or programming for somebody?
Oh yeah. So it's funny because I got that certification really to make women feel safe and comfortable. I can't say that pre and postnatal is my niche, but I do work with women. I mean, 90% of the time. And I've had women who are training with me and, talk about having kids soon. I think it's, coming up for us. And then they get pregnant. They're with me all throughout pregnancy and then sometimes postpartum. So I also want to make sure that I'm taking them through a strength training program that's going to be safe for them. So I learned a lot, even about my own body. Like there were things that I didn't even know about the female body, like going through this space, which I think was really eye-opening for me. And I know so many other coaches who do have this niche and they are just truly phenomenal. I follow them all the time and I'm still learning a lot about it. And I think the 3 phases of the pre-pregnancy and then postpartum, I mean, every woman is different too. So I think that there's just so much to learn here. A lot of it has to do with breath. So I think a lot of things that I've actually taken out of that certification can be applied to both male and female and not pregnancy at all. And so I think that I've just gained a lot of knowledge when it comes to breath work and the female body, to be quite honest. So I can't say it's going to be, at least in the moment, a niche of mine. I also have not gone through that experience personally. So I think it hits different when you do go through that experience. Because you obviously, I think every woman that has this niche that I know has had a child. So I think everything hits different when you experience it yourself. So I think moving forward, I got it just because for some women, especially during their first baby, it's really terrifying to think about lifting something, moving. Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? Is this safe for the baby? Like, they don't even know where to start. So I at least wanted like that very base level knowledge so that women are just feeling comfortable with me throughout this process.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were kind of going back and forth and just saying, hey, what are things that are coming up in the future? An Instagram live podcast, that's also on the docket amongst the many things that you are doing.
I'm out of my mind, Tony. Truly, just out of my mind.
So what do you envision for that? Is that like a series?
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So tell me about this.
So it was actually my girlfriend's idea. So my best friend, Gil Weston, she and I met, I mean, we're truly soulmates. Truly, from the moment that we met, we've been friends ever since and have been going through this journey called life. And we've been doing it together truly for the last like 5 years. She has evolved so much as a coach, as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, and I just have so much respect for her. And she now lives in Florida, and we honestly just voice text all day, every day about our clients, about our business, about what's going on at home, about everything. And so she just had this moment, and she's getting a little bit more into nutrition and has been asking me a lot of questions about my program and my experience. And she's like, would you want to do like a live podcast? I'm like, yeah, like, why not? Like, we talk about this all the time anyways. Let's just put it live. And again, that's like pretty scary, at least to me, because I too, again, am having that moment of like imposter syndrome. I'm like, one, who the hell wants to listen to the two of us just like wreak havoc on an Instagram live? But then I think I forget how much of these conversations need to be heard. Other people need to hear this. They need to hear the real and raw conversations that she and I are having on the back end. Because she and I struggle all the time when it comes to entrepreneurship. We struggle all the time with what it means to be a female in this male-dominated industry. We struggle all the time if we're doing the right thing, the wrong thing. Are we delivering things to the best of our ability? I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong, and everything in between. And we're just like, what are we doing? We gotta, whether it's right or wrong, whether it sounds good or it doesn't, we just need to put something into the universe.
Yeah. And it's important for people, like this whole thing you're saying right now, everybody feels like that. What doesn't matter who you are, everybody feels like, am I doing the right things? Am I living up to these expectations or what have you? And everybody has those feelings. It doesn't matter who you are or what profession you're in, but we always forget. And as I started to do, because again, I took a year before I even started this. I'm like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I literally tiptoed for an entire year.
Yeah.
Before I like just jumped in. I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
I love it. I love that.
And I forget we forget too, like just people in general, like what we think is like common knowledge or to us is not a big deal is a huge deal to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm talking about strength training or whatever, or my nutrition or my lifestyle, that can help somebody. Like they can help just if one person hears something and they're like, oh, wow, that's like super inspirational. I like what I heard there. I'm going to change my lifestyle a little bit. That's huge. And we don't think of it like that sometimes. We don't even think anybody's going to listen. I say like,
nope.
I invited my first guest on the podcast. I'm like, hey man, there's probably gonna be like 5 people that listen to this. So like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares if we mess up? The last one I did with my buddy, Steve Carlson, and we literally just went back and forth the whole time, just goofing around. I mean, we talked about serious topics, but at the end of the day, we need to put the information out there for people to hear. And if we affect a few people, that's kind of all worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you just started, right?
Yeah.
Just start something. And I think that's the hardest part about it, is just taking that first step when it comes to anything. But I am the same way. I've done the same thing. I've tiptoed around something for like months and even years. I'm like, oh my God, Nikki, like I roll my eyes at myself, like just start, just put it out in the universe. Nothing bad will happen. Just go, just do it.
Yeah. We always think it's going to be worse off, than we always make up this story in our head. Like, oh, it's going to be if I do it, it's going to be bad. Like nobody cares. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's once you do it, you're like, it's all good. 5 years from now.
Oh man.
Throw in another loaded question. 5 years from now, what do you envision like your business being, or what do you want to have accomplished or have started up by then?
So I have never really been able to answer that question. I don't know if I've ever, and I've said this before, I don't know if I ever think that far ahead. I don't think I'm able to, or I don't know if you've met or have heard of Todd Baumgartner.
No.
He has hosted, I'll send it to you. He hosted a vision course, which I use probably once a quarter. And it essentially asks that question. He emphasizes, divvy up your pillars, your financial, your personal, your career, etc. What's important to you, write it all down, like a huge brain dump, and how far can you see into the future? What are you working towards 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I struggle looking beyond, I would say, 3 years. I'm very much a person who's in the present, or I try to be, and just really take it one day at a time. I would say in the next 5 years, I just want the freedom and opportunity to do more of what I'm already currently doing, which is coaching coaches, putting out more continuing education, and hosting more workshops. And it's been a huge dream of mine to drop an ebook, a nutrition ebook. That's super important to me, and that's on the horizon, which I'm super, super excited about. But I think I have been this way because as a kid, my mom always said, if you want God to laugh, tell him your plans.
That's true.
So
It's
I
true.
think it's great to have plans. I think it's great to have goals to work towards something, but life has never worked out or happened really that way. I think life has just thrown so many other things at me, and like all good things, but just something that has completely redirected, where I thought I wanted to go. And honestly, I just want to travel more. I just want to be able to travel.
Yeah, you just got off a trip. Where did you go again?
I just went to Portugal.
That's awesome.
And people are like, why Portugal? I'm like, I don't know. Why not? It looked cool, looked pretty. And a lot of my friends said that they had a great time there. So I booked my ticket and left. Like, see you guys.
I love stories like that. Like, give me like, all right, I'm going to go here, whatever, I'm going to go and check the food, the culture, whatever.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Wonderful. So I hate that I can't really pinpoint that question for you, but just more of what brings me joy, as maybe lame as that sounds. I am someone who loves my job. I love to work, but, I think it's just important to me to really begin integrating more of what brings me joy. I don't just want to be my job. My job is important to me. I absolutely love it, but there are other aspects of life that I would really like to get into.
I think doing something that brings you joy is still a great 5-year plan. It sounds fantastic.
And just more of it.
Yeah.
Just more of it. Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of where can people find you? If people want to work with you, how do they connect?
My website, which is listed in my social media bio. That's probably the best way to contact me. Please don't DM me. If you need to, that's okay. But I do not function well through DMs because that's I don't have a separate like work and personal. So sometimes they get lost in like my personal conversations. And so through my website is the best way to contact me. It's another thing that I wanted to accomplish the year of 2021. So I'm very proud of that as well. Social media is not the worst, but website's the best. Websites. I know everyone wants to contact me through social media, but website is the best way to reach me.
And what's your URL?
And Georgeson, my last name, Georgeson. Yep.
Awesome.
And you'll see Porter, my dog, featured. That's how you know it's me.
Awesome.
He is featured.
We'll link it in the show notes for sure. Thank you everybody for listening. The Primal Foundations podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.